A man who once slept on cold, empty STR needs, rejected, humiliated, forgotten, would one day become the most feared name in human history. His name was Adolf Hitler. But how does a lonely, angry boy rise from nothing and pull an entire world into chaos? How does one failed artist become the face of destruction itself? This is that story. In a small town in Austria, a boy was born, quiet, sensitive, emotional, different from other children. While boys outside played games and laughed together, he often stayed alone, sitting quietly for hours, drawing buildings, landscapes, and imaginary worlds inside old notebooks. Art was his escape. When he painted, the noise inside his mind disappeared, and for a moment, life felt peaceful. But inside his home, there was very little peace. His father was strict, controlling, and often harsh. He wanted his son to grow up strong, disciplined, practical, but Adolf wanted none of it. He didn't dream of military life or office work. He dreamed of becoming an artist. The arguments between father and son became constant. One wanted control, the other wanted freedom. And slowly, the boy became more isolated. Then tragedy struck. His younger brother died at a very young age. The loss deeply affected him. Not long after, his father also died, and although their relationship had been difficult, the house felt emptier than ever. His mother became the center of his world. He loved her deeply. She encouraged his art, believed in his talent, believed he could become something important someday. And that belief meant everything to him. As he grew older, one dream consumed him completely: the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. To him, this wasn't just a school. It was escape, purpose, a future. He believed that if he got accepted, his entire life would finally begin. In 1907, he arrived in Vienna carrying hope, sketches, and ambition. He truly believed success was waiting for him. But when the results came, everything collapsed. Rejected. The Academy said his work lacked talent. Those words destroyed him. Still, he refused to give up. The next year, he tried again. And once again, he failed. Rejected. Again. This time, something inside him changed. The dream he had built his entire identity around was gone. And then life became even darker. His mother became seriously ill. Cancer. He watched the person he loved most slowly grow weaker every day. And in 1907, she died. Her death shattered him completely. Now he was truly alone. No success, no family, no direction. He moved through Vienna like a ghost. Some nights he slept in shelters. Other nights on freezing streets. He sold tiny handmade paintings to strangers just to buy food. Sometimes he went hungry for days. And during those lonely years, bitterness began growing inside him. The city around him felt crowded, divided, and chaotic. Political anger was everywhere. Economic struggle was everywhere. And slowly, his frustrations turned into hatred. Years later, that hatred would become deadly. But at the time, nobody noticed him. He was just another poor man lost in the streets of Vienna. Then came 1914, World War I. For the first time in years, Hitler finally felt purpose. He joined the German army eagerly. To him, war gave life meaning again. On the battlefield, he experienced horror beyond imagination. Gunfire, mud-filled trenches, bodies everywhere. explosions that shook the earth itself. Every day could be his last, but strangely, war also gave him belonging. For the first time, he felt part of something larger than himself. He became obsessed with the idea of Germany, its pride, its power, its future. Then in 1918, Germany lost the war, and millions of Germans were devastated. The country collapsed into humiliation and chaos. Inflation exploded. Money became nearly worthless. Families struggled to survive. Workers lost jobs. Children went hungry. People carried bags full of cash just to buy bread. Anger filled every street, and Hitler absorbed all of it. He refused to believe Germany had truly lost fairly. Instead, he convinced himself the nation had been betrayed from within. That belief became an obsession that would eventually consume millions of lives. After the war, he entered politics almost by accident. At first, nobody cared about him. He looked ordinary, thin, awkward, just another angry veteran speaking in small, crowded rooms. But then people heard him speak, and suddenly the room changed, because Hitler understood something dangerous. People in pain don't just want solutions. They want someone to blame, and he gave them exactly that. His speeches were filled with emotion, rage, humiliation, passion, hope. Every pause felt calculated. Every sentence felt personal. Crowds that once ignored him now listened in silence. Then they returned with friends. Soon, thousands gathered to hear him speak. Germany was desperate. People wanted strength. Friede, someone who promised to fix everything. And Hitler promised all of it. Slowly, his power grew. By 1933, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. But power alone was never enough for him. He wanted total control. One by one, opponents disappeared. Newspapers were controlled. Schools were controlled. Radio stations were controlled. Fear spread quietly. Across Germany, people became afraid to speak openly. Children were raised to worship Hitler almost like a savior. Massive rallies filled cities with flags, lights, and propaganda. To millions, he no longer seemed human. He seemed unstoppable. Then came expansion. Hitler wanted more land, more power, more dominance. And in 1939, he invaded Poland. Within days, the world exploded into war again. Cities burned under bombs. Entire nations collapsed. Families vanished overnight. The violence spread across Europe like fire. And as the war continued, the suffering became unimaginable. Millions of soldiers died. Millions of civilians died. Entire communities disappeared forever. The Holocaust began. Men, women, children, murdered in one of history's darkest atrocities. The world had never seen destruction on this scale before. And at the center of it all was the failed artist from Austria, the lonely boy who once sat quietly drawing buildings. But power never lasts forever. As years passed, Germany began losing badly. Enemy forces closed in from every direction. Bombs destroyed German cities night after night. Buildings collapsed. Food ran out. Fear consumed the country. And the same terror Hitler once used against others returned for him. By 1945, he was hiding underground beneath Berlin. The man who once stood before screaming crowds of thousands now sat trapped inside a bunker. Paranoid, exhausted, broken. Outside, Germany was collapsing around him. The empire he promised would last forever was dying. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler died inside that bunker. And soon after, the war finally ended. But the scars never disappeared. Entire cities have been destroyed. Millions of families never recovered. And history would forever remember the terrifying rise of one man, a boy who once dreamed of painting beautiful things, ended up becoming one of the darkest figures the world had ever seen. His anger, his obsession, his hunger for power changed human history forever. And even today, one question still haunts the world. What if, on that day in 1907, the Academy had simply said yes? Would history have been different?